All right, we are now in Photoshop and we're going to be taking a look at some file types and what resolution means and what makes a good file is going to be what is going to be happening right here. So as you can see, this is the Los Angeles Lakers logo. It is shitty and pretty bad. And I'll tell you why. In Photoshop, you can see the resolution pretty easily. You just go to image size, and I'll show you what the resolution is and how big it is. This one is 1.93 inches wide at 72 resolution. And as far as a graphic designer, we know that looks like this because of the resolution and the size. This number of resolution, it basically means pixels per inch. So all these little squares that make up the design, as you can see, these little squares, it's 72 pixels per inch. So that's how much information Photoshop has to make up the design. And that's pretty good to know when it comes to knowing why your design looks what it looks like. This is going to be a slightly better design. I pulled this straight off of Google. This image is 72 resolution as well, but it is much bigger. It is 17 times bigger. So as you can see, when you zoom in, it is still pixelated. The quality is a little bit but it is a little bit better. We'll go even better. Actually, no, this might be the same. We'll go a little bit better. This one is screen print ready. So I made this. It's the exact same. Let me see, 17.7 at 72 resolution. But as you can see, these colors the colors are definite. It's purple, yellow, and black. In this one, there was a whole bunch of different purples and yellows. But if I was a clothing brand that wanted to, let's just say, print this at 16 inches wide exactly, I would send it like this. Even if it was 72 resolution, even if you didn't know how to do it, this is how I would send it. But obviously, if you want to get better, let's get better. So this image is, as you can see, a lot more defined. The curves are made up of a lot more pixels, which makes the curves a little bit more definite. Yeah, there are some imperfections that we can go ahead and fix, but not right now. But this is image size. This is at 300 resolution at 15 inches wide. So as you can see, it does have a lot more details. Photoshop has more information because it's at 300 resolution. So it's 300 pixels per inch, which is a lot more information to get, if you wonder like why your black outline of your characters look like weird or, the colors are a little bit blocky, it may be the resolution. So this is probably, if you're looking for good quality files, this is the bare minimum. This is 300 resolution. And it's purple, yellow, and black. So this is completely separated. This is ready. This is print ready. Let's see, what's this? Yeah, this is the file before. And then I went in and grabbed all the yellow with the magic wand and made it all yellow. But that would be a whole different video. But yes, as you can see, I would send this file to my printer for sure, because this is decent. This is a pretty good file. I mean, it won't be perfect. Obviously, you have these jagged lines, but then we go into Illustrator. So if you want to see what vector is, this is vector. Vector is seamless mathematical equation lines that are in fact perfect. I mean, nothing's perfect, but as you can see, the more I zoom in, it'll stay exactly. There is no pixels in vector. The vector is all mathematical equations. And if I wanted to go ahead and, edit this, I can deal with the anchor points and make sure everything is, aligned and straight and it looks good. But that's the ability and the mobility of vector. You can actually edit it straight up, and you can edit on Photoshop, but there is less perfection when it comes to file types. So this is, and one thing that I do want to get into while we're talking about file types, this is a PNG. So a PNG has a transparent background. If you've ever dealt with a printer and they ask, can you send it with a transparent background or can you send it as a PNG? This is what they mean. Some people, for example, let me just change this PNG into a JPEG. If I put a white background here and I save it as a JPEG, it will flatten that logo with the background because JPEGs can't have transparencies. They cannot have backgrounds, or they cannot have transparent backgrounds. So as you can see, if I move this, the background stays the same. But let's just say if I flattened it out, if I move it with, this is technically what a JPEG entails. The quality of a JPEG is that there is no transparent background. So that's the difference between a JPEG and a PNG. This is technically an SVG, but when I saved it, it was already pixelated. PNG or SVGs can be vector as well, but this one wasn't. This is also a PNG. Well, has transparent background. I can move it around. But there are tiers when it comes to file types. I would say worst of the worst is a low quality JPEG. Because one, there is no transparencies, so you can't necessarily add like smoke or that's a good one. You can't add smoke or like fading off gradient on the edges with a JPEG. That's why when you want to have transparencies, make sure to send them either as a PNG. This is what a PNG is. The difference between a JPEG and a PNG is obviously the transparent background, but you can have transparencies in PNGs. And when I say transparencies, I just want to be clear. This is what I mean when it comes to like smoke. So this file is originally a PNG. I just put a black background for you guys to see the actual smoke. But I just grabbed what this information is and then went into channels, and this is transparencies. So it does fade. What transparencies mean, basically a fade. And it does create, I've seen many designs that have fades like this. So when I mean PNG, when I mean file types, this is what I mean. To have that seamless fade from design to the t-shirt, it's best to have a PNG so that transparent background can play a role in making the design the best way that it can be. So I would always, when I'm making my design, never flatten it with the background. Because once you flatten it to a background, the background becomes part of the design. And for a printer to take that background out, it's going to take some percentage of the design. It could possibly be 5%. It could possibly be 10 to 20%. But this video mainly is for you guys to get the exact result you want. So when you're designing, or when you get a design sent from a designer, make sure he sends it as a PNG. Make sure he sends it like this for your printer to actually do it right. And so it goes JPEG, PNG, as far as capabilities and adaptability goes with screen printing and this has to do with DTG as well. So it goes JPEG, PNG, and then it goes, I would say, vector. Actually, no. It goes JPEG, PNG, and then PSD. So PSD is a Photoshop file. So, I mean, it's not necessarily, you could have a bad quality PSD that's worse than a good quality JPEG. But I mean, as far as what I'm basing everything off of, I would say it is the capability of translating it to exactly the way a file is to screen print. There are levels. Every file type has its own level. If you send a JPEG with a white background and your design is black, it could be as good as vector. You send it to 1,000 resolution. So there are their scales, but PSDs have the elements already still in it. So a PSD, I mean, let's just look at some. Um, a PSD saves information. So yeah, I guess we can go right here. So this is a PSD, but this is actually a separation. Um, we can jump into separations as well. So this is a PSD, and this separation is technically a simulated process. What you can see is that it has a whole bunch of different halftones that create all the gradients. Everything that has to do with the design is all made of halftones, and that's what simulated process separations are. Uh, but as you can see, a PSD holds a lot more information. You could have different elements be able, like layers that you can turn on and off. When it comes to design, that does help. As a printer, you know what is what, and you can edit it if you need to. But that's what a PSD has the advantage of. PSD has his, yeah. And that's what the advantages of a PSD is. You can have different layers. It's much more creative. There is a lot more editing and adaptability that PSDs entail. And then the next goes vector. Vector is across the board. Graphic designers can agree that vectors are the best quality files because you can scale it up as big as you want. Now it is 125 inches wide, and it's the exact same quality as if it was 3 inches wide, and it'll keep that. So that's the difference between what this is. And let me go into the best quality file that we have right here. This is 300 resolution, but if I were to blow this up, I would go to image size, turn on, and let's go, I'm gonna make this 30 inches wide. As you can see, the file will start to change. Because when you make a design bigger in Photoshop, you got to imagine that Photoshop is filling in the holes of what it kind of like can mathematically equate to what it would be blown up. So it does do a good idea for sure, but it's not perfect. And let's check it out. So it does have, the gist of the information, but it puts in a brighter yellow right here. And that's something that will have to be dealt with as far as the curves and making sure that it comes out the exact same way, the right way. But that's the difference between scaling in Photoshop and Illustrator, because this does not look what it used to look like. This is what it used to look like, yellow, purple, and now it looks like this. So as you can tell, I mean, if you really wanted to increase your resolution up to, or, blow it up or increase your resolution, and it so happened to look like this, you can go ahead and grab all the yellow and make it all yellow. And that's what I did to make that other one. And it does make it more defined, but that's where your editing comes in. And that's what you would do to send to your printer. You could also, make this a little bit more perfect with the pen tool if you wanted to, make it like that. And this is very quick, but obviously you would do a lot more work. Didn't do it that well, but you can see that little definition of what that is if you want to go and edit it. But that's where you kind of play. You can play with Photoshop, you can play with Illustrator. Both of them have their own advantages. But one thing that I do want to go into now and more in detail is, so there's different kinds of screen printing in a way. I know it's going to sound a little bit weird, but there are different types of separations. So with this design, the separation that I'll go, so there's 3 different separations. Spot color, number 1. Spot color is the most simplest. So a design like this would be spot color. This just colors. There's no gradients, there's no fades, it's just simple. For example, if I wanted to make a film for this, I would grab all of the green. It looks like it did grab all the green. I'll go on channels and make that. So it is completely separate, and that's spot color. This is the start of a spot color separation. So that's spot color. This is simulated process. Simulated process has a bunch of halftones that make up gradients, like I said before. And you can tell that if I turn off, let's just say turn off one of these colors and the layers, I mean, all of them go together, and they all make up the design. So that's simulated process. These type of designs do entail simulated process. And there is another one that I want to show you guys. Where is it? Let's open it up. So we're gonna go boom. We'll skip this part. Well, we'll cut this. Some music it's taking forever. I'm not sure. Okay. And finally, this is a different kind of separation, and it is called index. So index separation is all pixel based. There is no halftones. It's like I said earlier with pixels are square, and this image is 200 resolution, and it is all made up of these little colors. So let's say we turn off brown. A lot of information on brown. That would be the screen. You would burn, let's just say, this film of brown onto a screen, and that's brown, and then it goes little by little. Every color goes down. This is the screen print simulation, and it'll eventually become the final design. Just as well as the simulated process. I didn't do that little thing, but this is the underbase. There's the purple, and little by little, one by one, colors go down, and this is how screen printing is in the digital sense. So there's screen printing, there's index, and let me pull up a spot color. And this is a spot color design separation. So as you can see, I turn off the cream, it's cut out, but it's no gradient. I mean, there is some halftones in here, but that's just a hybrid. But this black is completely just straight up black. It's a black film, all exact. There is no halftones. But those are the three types of screen print separations that I would say you should know.